He said it with a smile, like we were just one big happy family, like he hadn't destroyed everything we once had, like Mom hadn't died with a broken heart. Hi, I'm Julia, and I live just outside Cincinnati, Ohio. It's not a big city, but it's home. The kind of place where neighbors wave and everybody knows everyone's business, whether you want them to or not. I'm not usually one to post on Reddit or make a scene, but when I tell you what happened, what my dad did, you'll understand why I couldn't keep this to myself anymore. My mom was the strongest person I knew. She raised me and my younger brother, Ben, mostly on her own. My dad was always busy, business trips, late nights, excuses. We all suspected something wasn't right. But when Mom got sick, really sick, he suddenly became Father of the Year. Except it was all fake. You know what's worse than watching your mom fade away in a hospital bed? It's watching your dad scroll through texts from his mistress while holding her hand. Yeah, that happened. I kept quiet. I wanted to scream, but Mom, she didn't have the strength for drama. She told me, "Let it go, Jules. I just want peace." So I gave her peace. I smiled. I pretended. I swallowed my rage because that's what she asked of me. She died 6 months ago, and 2 months later, he announced he was getting remarried. To her, the woman he snuck around with while Mom begged for more time. I didn't go to the engagement party. I barely replied to his texts. But then the wedding invitation came with a handwritten note from him inside. "Hope you can make it. Would mean a lot. I'd love for you to say a few words at the ceremony." I almost tore it in half. But then I remembered Mom's face, and I knew what I had to do. I was going to speak at that wedding, and he had no idea what I was about to say. I showed up, and let me tell you, every part of me wanted to turn around and walk out. The wedding was at the church where Dad and Mom had gotten married. The same church where we used to sit every Sunday, pretending we were one big happy family. I couldn't help but think about how Mom never got the chance to walk down the aisle again, how her seat would always be empty, and how she deserved so much better than this. The guests were arriving, all dressed up, acting like it was a celebration of love. But inside, I was boiling. I walked in, feeling the weight of every eye on me. Dad greeted me with a fake smile, his arm wrapped around his new wife, the woman he'd left my mom for. She was smiling too, but I couldn't look at her, not after everything. "Julia," Dad said, his voice trying to sound warm, but I could see the nervousness in his eyes. "I'm glad you could make it. It means a lot." I nodded, but I didn't trust myself to speak. As I made my way to the back of the church, I tried to breathe, to calm down. My brother Ben was sitting next to me, looking just as angry as I felt. He squeezed my hand and whispered, "We're doing the right thing." We sat through the ceremony, and every part of me wanted to scream at Dad, to stand up and tell everyone how he'd torn our family apart. But I held it in. I wanted to wait for the right moment, the moment I would finally have the courage to speak. And then it came. The priest asked, "Is there anyone here who objects to this union?" My heart raced, and I felt all eyes on me. This was it. This was my chance. But instead of speaking up, Dad stood up and looked directly at me. "Julia, I was hoping you could say a few words. You were so close to your mom. She would have wanted you to." His voice trembled slightly, but his eyes stayed on me, pleading, desperate for some sign of approval. I could feel the weight of the moment, but deep down, I knew this wasn't about Mom. It was about revenge. I stood up, the entire room waiting, expecting some heartfelt speech about how happy I was for him and his new life. But that's not what I was about to give them. I took a deep breath, standing in front of everyone, knowing what I was about to do would change everything. The room was silent. Dad was waiting, his hands trembling slightly as he clasped them together, trying to look like the proud father of the bride. But I could see the cracks in his facade. I could see how nervous he was. I stepped up to the microphone, my legs shaking but my resolve stronger than ever. I glanced at Ben, who gave me a nod of encouragement. My chest tightened as I looked at my father, standing beside the woman who had helped destroy our family. I looked down at my hands for a moment, gathering my thoughts. And then I began. "Thank you all for being here today," I said, my voice carrying through the church. I could feel the eyes of every single person on me, but I pushed through. "I know a lot of you are here to celebrate what's supposed to be a beautiful moment. A new beginning, right? The guests exchanged a few glances, confused. Some were nodding, others shifting in their seats. But I continued, there's something you need to understand before you think. This is just some simple fairy tale. This is a story about lies, betrayal, and broken promises. I heard a sharp intake of breath from Dad. His face paled as he tried to mask his panic with a tight smile. But I was just getting started. You see, I said, raising my voice slightly, I remember when my mom was dying. She trusted my father to take care of her. She believed that at the very least, she would have his loyalty, his support, his love. What she didn't know, what we didn't know, was that while she was fighting for her life, my father was sneaking around with her. The gasps from the guests were audible now, and I could feel the shift in the air. Whispers started rippling through the room, but I kept my focus on Dad. My mom died with her heart broken, wondering why the man she had spent her life with couldn't even be honest with her in her final days. My voice cracked for a moment, but I pressed on, and now I'm supposed to be here, celebrating his new life, celebrating a woman who destroyed everything she held dear. I turned to Dad, his face now red, his eyes wide with panic. He tried to speak, but I raised my hand. No, Dad, I'm not done. You don't get to do this. You don't get to pretend everything is okay. The entire room was frozen in disbelief, but I wasn't finished. Not yet. I could see Dad's face twist in anger, his eyes pleading for me to stop. But I wasn't about to let him get away with this. Not after everything he had done. Not after everything he had put us through. You think Mom wouldn't have wanted this? I said, my voice growing stronger. You think she would have wanted me to stand here, pretending to be happy for you while you married the woman who tore our family apart? I could feel the eyes of every guest on me, some whispering, others shocked into silence. But I didn't care. I was past the point of holding back. It was like everything I had been feeling for the past year, the anger, the betrayal, the loss was finally spilling out. And it felt damn good. Do you know how it felt to watch her slowly fade away, knowing that you were out there with her? I pointed toward his new wife, the one who had replaced my mom. How it felt to be betrayed by the one person I was supposed to trust the most. How it felt to see the man who swore he loved us lie to our faces every day. Dad opened his mouth to speak, but I wasn't having it. And what about you? I turned to the woman sitting next to him, the one who had always been just a friend, before she was suddenly the love of his life. Do you even care what you did? What you took from us? From my mom? Her face flushed. She stood up, but no words came out. The room was so quiet you could hear the faint hum of the air conditioning. Or is it just easier to ignore the pain you caused? Easier to pretend everything is fine because you finally got what you wanted? I shot a glance back at Dad. You didn't just destroy your marriage, Dad. You destroyed a family. And now, you want me to stand here and smile while you make a joke of it? The tension in the room was suffocating. Dad was shaking now, his fists clenched at his sides, but I could see the cracks in his armor. I hope you're proud of yourself, because you're going to have to live with this. You're going to have to live with knowing that your children saw you for what you really are. A liar, a cheater, and a coward. I paused for a moment, letting my words sink in, then delivered the final blow. And I wonder, Dad, when it's your turn to die, will you be able to look in the mirror and honestly say you did right by anyone? By Mom? By me? By Ben? I let those words hang in the air, and I could feel the entire room waiting for the fallout. But this time, there was no apology, no remorse from him, just a cold, hard silence. Finally, I turned to leave. I didn't care if I was making a scene. I didn't care if the whole world was watching. I had said what needed to be said. I could hear whispers, gasps of disbelief, but it didn't matter anymore. As I walked out of the church, I felt like I could finally breathe. The weight that had been on my chest for so long was gone, but I couldn't help but wonder, what happens next? Will my dad finally own up to his mistakes? Will he ever feel the weight of what he did? Or is this just the beginning of a much darker journey? What do you think? Should a person like my dad ever be forgiven? Or is there no coming back from betrayal like that? Tell me in the comments below.